Boy blurts out one word in adoption hearing, telling judge all he needs to know. The small child ran to her ex-husband as she exchanged glances with the judge. He didn't know what was going on, but she was hiding something. The judge opened their mouth and asked the kids who they wanted to live with. But someone else had something to say that no one could have expected. Jessica was a mother from Wisconsin and gained a lot of reputation when she adopted 6 children. But she also had 2 biological children and messy divorce with their father. It didn't take long before the cracks began to show and the upsetting truth finally began to seep out. Soon people would start to notice inconsistencies in the story. It wouldn't be long until everyone knew the truth. Jessica felt confident in her stride as she walked into the courtroom. The whole neighborhood knew about the good deeds she was doing, but some had bad intentions. She had a lot of mouths to feed. So a lot of people were wondering what her true motives were. Jessica was a little nervous when she watched all 8 of her children follow her into the courtroom. Everyone sat in front of the judge at the front of the room. She wanted to adopt 2 children from Wisconsin that were siblings. They had a hard upbringing and she wanted to bring love into their lives. Jessica's character had something that just a lot of people couldn't empathize with. It didn't help that a lot of her life was covered in mystery. Why did she want to adopt so many children? This is what was on many people's minds. She was all on her own, yet she wanted so many mouths to feed. The judge even admitted that they had never dealt with a case around adoption quite like Jessica's. Because the children were so old, the judge said that they needed to ask a lot of questions. Soon they asked about her ex-husband and raising them alone. Confusion. Jessica looked at her ex-husband in the corner of the room and said that he was just their biological father. But the judge suspected something when they found out they were divorced. After all, what ex-husband would want to help his ex-wife adopt 6 boys? Soon, the first crack began to show. As the judge began to wonder if she was doing this just for fame, and hadn't considered this adoption with serious thought, the youngest boy ran out of his chair, across the courtroom. He was elated after suddenly seeing Jessica's ex-husband. "Dada," he blurted out as he ran into his lap. It was all the judge needed to hear to understand what was happening here. Was the boy running to get away from her? The judge looked at Jessica as the boy ran to her ex-husband. She looked nervous and scared. The judge couldn't quite figure out what it meant, but one question still remained. Why did she want to adopt so many children? And most importantly, were the children also wanting to be adopted by her? After all, she had been fostering them for a while now. The judge asked the kids if they wanted to be adopted by her, but it looked as though they were too shy to speak up in front of the court. Instead, another voice echoed from the sidelines. Jessica's ex-husband spoke up, standing tall with one of the children in his arms. What he said rattled the court to its core. He apologized for interfering but mentioned that he could sense Jessica and his kids were very nervous. Jessica looked with her eyes tearing as he continued to tell the judge why Jessica wanted to do this and why the kids equally wanted her to be their mom. Jessica could no longer stare in silence. It was time for her to make her speech. Her heart pounded as she spoke to the judge. With tearful eyes, Jessica said, "Everybody tells me how lucky these kids are and what a good thing I did, but I'm going to cry. They grounded me. I went through my 20s thinking I didn't really need a family. But I did. They give me purpose." Jessica continued to open up and tell the court the upsetting pieces of her life. Jessica had a hard childhood growing up. Coming from a broken home, her mom lost custody of her when she was just 12 years old. And because of her old age, she was met with the realization that no one would ever adopt her. She grew up moving from home to home, never feeling like she had a safe place. But there was something else. Jessica also had a brother who got lost in foster care. She has no idea where he is now or how he's doing. She didn't want this to happen to any other child. In fact, it's the reason she got into fostering herself. She always knew she wanted to adopt, and now she couldn't imagine a life without her big family. Her speech was enough to win the whole courtroom over. Now, Jessica lives in the kind of stable, loving home she always dreamed of when she was younger, moving from family to family. She has a basketball hoop in the living room where the kids can play, and every weekend they do family pizza and a movie night. Jessica's newly adopted sons are beyond grateful to be together, but she is even more grateful for them. What a heart of gold.